The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. I am back. You are comfortably zoned, loving baseball when we were 12 and innocent. I'm Ralph Tycho. I have some of the most interesting folks in the world who loved baseball when they were 12. Guest today is Todd Sullivan. How are you, Todd?
Hey, Ralph, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, I couldn't wait. You are not only a baseball aficionado, but you live and work in Sacramento, California. And I spent a great deal of time after I got out of the service in Sacramento in the late 60s and early 70s. So how's Mayberry doing?
Yeah, Mayberry's doing great. You know, Sacramento has been for a long time the mecca for baseball players, it seems like.
Absolutely. Starting with Dusty Baker, Randy Lurch, Manuel, former manager of the Mets. A whole bunch of people came from Sacramento. What was your early experience with baseball and being age 12?
Oh, being age 12, I just remember when it was just baseball and kids having fun, and a lot of the parents weren't involved like I see that how they are today. They just, back in those days, just let the kids play.
There were no traveling squads. You just went.
Yeah, no travel ball. We had we had what they call, when you really wanted to play baseball, it was called Winter League. So, we had Little League in the spring, no summer stuff really for baseball going on. But in the wintertime, we had a thing called Winter League, and we worked with Pepsi and the Sacramento Smokies, as well as the long-lived Renfree Field.
Right. I spent a lot of my youth at Renfree Field watching baseball. Guys would come back from the minors or sometimes the majors, and they'd play some good old-fashioned hardball at Renfree. Good memories.
Oh, absolutely. I've back with I don't know if people know Leon Lee. He's another one.
And Lauren was his brother.
Yep, and then Leon's son Derek from the Chicago Cubs, and back in the day. But we for years, groups of guys like that, people that have been involved with Major League Baseball, we've been trying to get Renfree back up and running and using it like a minor league field, just like you were saying. It just seems to be that the city of Sacramento seems to be getting in everybody's way, and instead of bringing back a very historical ballpark and field with a lot of deep history, they tend to just let it sit there and let the weeds grow.
Wow, that's very sad. That was in the north area, right close to McClellan, if I remember. And just a hotbed of major leaguers came out of Sacramento.
Oh, yeah, Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was just, because just Sacramento baseball history just, really, it's like a passion of mine. And I have a show here, the Sacramento Dugout Show, that we just, emphasize on all the Sacramento guys that are going through. And even, like right now, there's like, I believe, 14 kids that are playing in the Major League Baseball program that are right here from Sacramento. But, back in my day, it was more like Larry Boa, Danny Royster, Jerry Manuel, Nick Johnson, Greg Vaughn, Steve Sachs, those guys.
Right. And while we're at it, a little note of condolence. Steve Sachs just recently lost his son in a military accident. I think he was a pilot and crashed in a training mission, and nothing sadder. I wish him all the peace that life can bring him.
Yeah, that's, our baseball family is all praying and sending the love to the Sachs family for sure.
Yeah. How old were you? What year were you 12? And I use 12 in this podcast for a very important reason. When you're a kid, intellect at age 12, baseball intellect meets enthusiasm. So you know what you're looking at, and you never will you ever be as much of a baseball fan as you were at age 12. It's unadulterated. What are your memories of your first game at age 12? Who took you, and what were the circumstances?
Well, that would be 1976, and it was for Parkway Little League. And in our area, we just recently had Airport Little League just come back from the Williamsport in the Little League World Series, and we just so happened to be playing against them. And the coach came up to me, and Larry Martinez, and told me, all right, Sully, you're going to be getting the ball and you're on the bump. And for the first time in my life, I was shaking in my cleats, and I couldn't figure out why. It's like, I normally get excited about this, but the only thing I can keep thinking about was how, Airport was the champions, and our Parkway was just a little team, but when we played them, we battled real well. I found out at that time there were a couple Major League ball players that were playing on that Little League team with Dino Johnson and Greg Vaughn, and it's just, being able to these days, knowing that I was, competing and playing with those guys back in when we were just 12 years old, and, being able to still talk to them and communicate with them, and I'm still, working with both of them currently. So that's what's so great about Sacramento baseball is everybody always comes back here. Everybody commits to the community, and we keep giving back to the baseball here in Sacramento.
Wow. And it was Jerry Manuel who I was thinking of, former manager of the Mets. I'm a Met fan.
Yeah.
And I was very proud of Sacramento that day. How far did you get in baseball? How far did you rise?
Well, I played through high school. My summer year before my freshman year in college, I was hoping to be a walk-on at Sac State, and I was talking with John Smith, who's at Sac State. The field now is named after John Smith, and he's currently running Sacramento High School athletics here in Sacramento. And
wow.
He said he always heard about me and he knew about me, but, his roster was full, especially with his pitching staff, but he really thought I had potential and had me join his summer league program. And I was pitching against Chico State, and that's when I tore my rotator cuff for the first time during a game. So I never really got to.
Time. How many times are you allotted? That's a major surgery. Did you go through the surgery? Yeah,
they did the surgery. Back then in '83, the surgeries like they are these days. They patched it back together, never really got the strength. Kind of like heard it from all the coaches and players that without an arm, there's no chance. I can't, I have to be able to swing. It was prohibiting me from swinging. So at that time, being 18 and 19 and my dreams being taken out from underneath me, I kind of went in the wrong direction, and with alcohol and stuff like that, and just got totally depressed and stopped playing baseball altogether. And all of a sudden, I'd say, when did I meet my wife? I met my wife in high school, but we actually didn't get together till I was 23, 24. And, I just knew she was the right person for me. And she just told me if I didn't start flying right, she was going to leave. And I just started working in the right direction. But every time weekends would come around, I'd fall back. And then all of a sudden I was walking and I saw kids playing baseball, and I started thinking about baseball and went back to Parkway Little League and could not believe that Larry Martinez was still coaching there. And back when I was playing, and he just got me back into the baseball, got me back on the field working with the kids. And all of a sudden, the only passion I had at that moment was baseball and coaching kids and being back on the ball field. And everything just started, turning for the better. I met Dusty Baker. He started his RBI program here in Sacramento. That's when I met Leon Lee. And then it just started growing from there with other players, just like another gentleman wanted me to tell you hi, and Jethro McIntyre. So all these, coaches just started saying, Sullivan, that, you're like the professor. You can teach throwing and teach pitching and talk pitching better than anybody we've ever heard. And, forget about playing, you need to teach. And when I heard that from guys like that, my mentors, basically, that's when I totally flipped the switch, and I've been gung-ho teaching kids and getting better and trying to not just make my life better, but making the kids' life better and everybody around them.
Boy, you sound like you were totally recovered from that bump in the road. Yeah. What's your most satisfying experience as a coach? And we'll talk about Jethro in a minute. Jet, one of my first podcasts about 10 years ago, I went to Jethro McEnroe, and what a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's one of the first guys we honored when I started doing some honorary Negro League baseball games here in Sacramento. And, even though he's living in Oakland and from Oakland, a lot of the kids that come through this area, he's all touched and worked with. And, I've worked with him, and, he's definitely touched me. And he's just somebody that I had to honor back in the day.
One more person I'd like to mention from back in the day that you may know is Manuel Perry Jr. from Post 51.
Post 51. Back with the Jerry Weinstein days.
Absolutely. And Jerry has been a guest on my podcast too. He's a catching guru, and he managed in the Colorado Rocky minor leagues for a while, has the distinction of being, I think he has the most wins as a junior college coach in history.
Yes, he is. At Sac City College.
At Sac City. Talk about some of the players that he sent to the bigs.
A lot, Gosh, it's hard to sit there and go back off the top of my head, but we know, Greg Vaughn is definitely one of them. Even Larry Boa is one of them. Nick Johnson, is definitely one of them. But, even some of the guys like Lavelle Friedman, he was one of the dominating hitters in the minor leagues for years. Mark Cole, it just go on and and Chris Bosio.
And he keeps doing it. He's retired from coaching, but he runs clinics and workshops. Jerry is a legend in Sacramento. But tell me about your coaching thrills. Who's made it? Who's progressed? Who's surprised you? Who's come out of the woodwork from when they started in their progression?
Well, you have, Rowdy Tellez, who's with the Milwaukee Brewers right now. He was a young man that I just worked with in Little Leagues, but, Jeff Carlson, who coached at Elk Grove High School, he's brought tons of kids into the league, just like with Dom Nunez with the Colorado Rockies. He's the catcher that, worked with Jerry Weinstein. Right now with mine, a lot of my kids are heading off in college right now. I have Nick Gregson, who's in San Diego. And there's also, you got Nick Gregson and you got Nick Soloranzo. I have a couple of other guys that are coming in. Let me see this. I got Curtis Orr. These guys are all playing in D1 that are just remarkable young men who are all dominating on the bump. Cooper Robinson, he's playing with the Anteaters. He was with the BPA program that I run with Mike Hacker and Doug Finnis. Through that program, we have a lot of kids that get on to the college level, and that's my main focus. Is I coached at Kennedy High School with Mark Cole for since 2005 to just a couple of years ago, and then I started working with BPA, who's run by Mike Hacker, who pitched with the Boston Red Sox, Doug Finnis, who played and coached at Texas Tech, as well as Nick Johnson, who played with the Yankees. He's a coach out there as well. There's just the BPA program itself. Our main focus is just getting kids to D1 or into the NCAA baseball programs and scholarships. That's where I focus at.
Beautiful. You got a very satisfying life going there, Todd.
Yeah, it's once baseball came back into my life, it's nonstop go. My wife wants me to slow down, but this is what keeps my fire burning and keeps me active, and keeps my head on the right shoulders. And it's just sort of like it's our own little community here, and everybody gets involved. Everybody helps each other. Just in Sacramento, there's about 12 academies, and you would think that everybody would just be constantly competing with each other, at each other's, nerves, and just, disliking each other. But it's, players circulate throughout the teams just because of scheduling. It's just the Sacramento area is just so proud of the players and how we operate and how we coach, that everybody just seems to get along very well together, from just like downtown baseball, which is run by a lot of the Sac City College guys, as well as SSC, which is run by some of the Sac City College guys. So it's just like all the community colleges here have their own basic facility, and we all seem to just focus and work with each other. We actually have clinics with each other. Sometimes we team up so we can go on some different events and tournaments just to make sure the kids are showcased and seen as much as possible.
Beautiful. Hey, Todd, baseball was different when you were 12 than it is now. What do you like about today's game, and what do you miss most about the game when you were 12?
What I like probably most now is seeing girls play in the game, girls being able to compete in the game. I coach several females who are playing at the little league level, at the high school level, and at the collegiate level. So it's just nice to see, once again, the baseball community treating everybody as equals and letting them play, but more so the kids, the knowledge of the game and how much the time and energy they put into studying and learning the game is, what I like right now. What I miss is, just the content attitude of playing the game professionally, seeing some young kids flipping bats in a little league game after hitting a home run, or when I see somebody pitch a strike three for the first out and they pound their glove, it's just like, that's totally unnecessary. And I'm starting to see a lot more of that at the younger ages.
Who taught you the basic skills of baseball when you were a kid?
Well, it's post-91. That was through Jerry Weinstein. He used to coach high school baseball in the summer. I learned a lot from him. Larry Stone was another gentleman who I learned a lot from, who's big here in the area. And F.P. Santangelo was my high school coach. His son, Frank Santangelo Jr., he played for the Giants in the big leagues, but his dad was my high school coach, so he was somebody I idolized.
And Frank is an announcer now with Washington, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I keep up with old Sacramento guys. I've got to mention Harry Dunlap. You mentioned Sac State. Did you get a chance to meet him? Or his kid, who I used to watch at Renfrey? Maybe Harry was the kid. I can't think of his name. It wasn't. Harry was a coach in the big leagues with San Diego when I was in Sacramento, and he had a big influence on Sac State. Can you tell me any memories you have of him?
I don't have any memories of him. Once my summer year at Sac State, once I got hurt, to the disappointment of my parents, I kind of left the campus altogether.
Yeah.
But I know, I'm right now in our area with we have Dom Miko, who's at Consumers River College, and we got Ryan Sullivan, who's at Sac City College. Those are the two in my community right now who are probably the two best about getting the kids to the next level. And I know they learned from him. And it's just, nice to see that those traditions are passed down and how hard the community coaches here work in order to get them to the next level, between Sac City College, Folsom Lake College, Delta College, and Consumers River College. The run on getting these young athletes from JUCO to D1 is just impeccable. And even this year, there's been 3 guys from Consumers River College that have gotten sent up to the D1 level, and at Sac City, there's 4 guys. But Sac City, we've talked about it before, has produced so many Major League Baseball players. It's unbelievable. And now that Sac State is D1, we're starting to get a lot of the better athletes, talent, and coaches coming to our school, to where Sac State is definitely going to be on the rise. And I'm glad to be working with them. I'm working with them with my new honorary Negro League coming up here in October.
Beautiful. What got you into that?
Well, back at Sac State, there was two twins, Dominic and Dante Morris. These two young black gentlemen were excellent baseball players. Their passion for the game is just impeccable. And unfortunately, due to their stature, they're small. And, back then they were looking for the more larger baseball player. Now they're looking for the more athletic baseball player. And John didn't bring them onto the team, but that didn't stop them. So they were also coached by Jethro McIntyre. And so on campus, they decided to start a baseball rec league, and they called it Morris League Baseball. And they got all these students on campus to join up and create a team just so they can continue to play the game that they love. But once they got the teams together, then they getting the facilities and getting the umpires and getting, everything else running, they were kind of struggling with. So John said, you need to meet Todd Sullivan. He hooked them up with me, and just seeing, the pride and how hard they work in these two young gentlemen, I was really happy to go on board and help them out. So we started up the Morris League Baseball. The first year there was 2 teams. The second year we went to 4 teams, and these are all college level players. And the year after that we went to 8 teams, and it's still growing to this day. And we decided at some point that we needed to do something for the people in the community that we love and what's passionate about us. And Jethro was that guy. And we also knew Elmer Carter. Elmer Carter was Satchel Paige's catcher for the Kansas City Monarchs, and he actually lived here in Sacramento. So we honored Jethro and Elmer Carter at Sac State. We got uniforms for the Oakland Larks and the San Francisco Seals, so we were all presented very well on the field. And we did a replica game, played small ball, played intelligent, fast-paced baseball, had a great audience. And it was just a phenomenal success. And shortly after that, I met Bob Kendrick, and Bob Kendrick came on our TV show, and Bob and I became real good friends. And so every year we were doing this honorary Negro League game. And then all of a sudden, the boys graduated from Sac State, and, they started going on with their life. And they invented an app called Hoop Maps, and they were on Shark Tank and everything. So they were all focused on, their future and what they were planning on doing. And then once all that hit, not just COVID, but all the social unrest with Breonna being killed by police officers, as well as George Floyd, it just seemed to be one thing after another going on. And all my friends and athletes, were just, I've never seen these people, show such emotion before. And I can hear them talk, and they just, they've had enough. Something needs to be done. And I just emotionally got wrecked seeing people who I care about, and even just seeing what society was doing to people in general, wanted to help out. So I started I started up the honorary Negro League game again. I had Jerry Manuel, who you talked about before, who coached the New York Mets. He coached the Atlanta Black Crackers, which his dad actually played for the Atlanta Black Crackers. And then I had Greg Vaughn. He coached the Kansas City Monarchs, and we played at Sutter Health Park, which is the minor league field for the San Francisco Giants, which is the Sacramento River Cats. And the Savages, after the game, they were impressed about the event, and I got a lot of interest from other people, and now I'm hooked up with Sac State and the athletic program, and Mark Orr, the athletic director over there, and we're going to do another one in October with Bob Kendrick and Dennis Biddle from the Chicago American Giants.
Well, that's terrific. I'm really, I have goosebumps. I have such a big part of my heart is still in Sacramento, and That's wonderful. Let me just tell you, I'm proud to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that, Ralph. I'm glad you reached out to me and that we become friends. I like what you do, and I'm just, excited to be talking baseball like always.
Beautiful. Would you do me a favor? Would you make this only the start of your guest appearance on my show?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be love to be a frequent guest because from what I understand, hopefully Major League Baseball should be coming out to my event, and if everything goes right, I'll be hooking up with Major League Baseball Develops program that works with the Cuban Youth Baseball organization, and through Tyrone Brooks, Lou Coyer, Marquis Grissom, and Jerry Manuel. Those guys all run it, and hopefully we can have that event out here in Sacramento next year.
Wonderful. I'm an old New York Giants fan as a kid. They moved out when I was 12. What are they doing I want to hear good things about this. What are they doing to contribute? They have a minor league team in Sacramento. What are they doing to contribute to your cause and make it easier for you?
Well, right now that's why we're not at Rayleigh, that's the old saying. It's Sutter Health Park. Because once I did the event, I got a lot of people that reached out to me from MLB programs as well as other old Major League Baseball players, and they all wanted to participate, and I was so excited that they did, but their only availability is after baseball season, once Major League Baseball is over, so that's why we're doing it in October this year when most of the teams will be out and because the playoffs will be going and they can participate. But last year they were great. I was able to use their facility. They took care of all the ticket sales and a lot of the advertising. They treated the teams just unbelievably well. It was just, the kids that were out there being coached by major leaguers. ESPN was out there covering it. Clinton Yates, I can just see it in their eyes. They all became Major League Baseball players that day. It's a lot of fun.
Beautiful. Todd, this was a great show for me. I'm glowing.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited. I'm glowing as well. I started sitting and now I'm walking and I'm smiling and don't want to stop talking.
Beautiful. But stop we must, and I look forward to you coming back. Thank you. And thank you everyone out there for listening. It's the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. The show itself is Lovin' Baseball when we were 12 and innocent. You're not all that innocent anymore, but you're 12 at heart, Todd.
That's for sure. Every time I'm on the diamond, I'm 12 years old.
Beautiful. Thank you again. Thanks, everybody, for listening. All I can say is this has been terrific for me, and your spirit really shows through. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Ralph.
All right. Talk soon. Thanks, everybody. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Adios and happy trails.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned Network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.